Hey, everybody, and thanks for joining me on another episode of Straight Jacket White Rabbit. My name's Adam, and as always, I'll be your host. Today, you guys, I want to talk about the increasing level of police state that we seem to be living in here in the United States. I mean, around the world, it's getting worse, but especially here in the United States. Now, what exactly is a police state to me in the context of this conversation, you guys? We are living under an ever-widening umbrella of surveillance from our government, illegally in some cases, and it's not showing any signs of getting better. Since 2001, when the Patriot Act was introduced, a lot of people do not understand that the Patriot Act, you guys, stripped away rights due to you by the U.S. Constitution. And a lot of the parts of the Patriot Act were supposed to be a short-term provision, which just keep getting renewed year after year after year after year. These people are spying on you in everyday life. And a lot of people say, well, they're collecting phone data, but it's just metadata. You guys, first of all, metadata is important. That says who's calling who, where they're calling from, what the location of the party you called is. There's a lot of data in metadata. It can easily be used to track civilians. But honestly, do you really believe they're just stopping at gathering metadata? A lot of people who've read things like the Edward Snowden leaks and things of this nature believe, like me, that it's gone far beyond this, you guys. Most people who are not unplugged from the system don't realize how much surveillance has gone on in the last 20 years. Surveillance has increased 1,000-fold. You guys, with the invention of Ring cameras and wireless recording here and there, all these wireless signals that are recording people on dash cams, on Ring doorbells, on security cameras, just everywhere. This data is floating around for people who know how to retrieve it to retrieve it. None of this data is private. None of these videos is secure if the right people want the information. So, what can you do about it? I mean, what can you do when you're walking out of your house and you're filmed 100 times on average every time you leave? How do we stop this invasion of privacy? In a short answer, you guys, you can't. We cannot put the genie back in the bottle, as it were. We cannot close Pandora's box. We live in a state where we are going to be monitored. Now, we can try to fight against things like listening in on our phone conversations and things like this. But there's always, let's face it, there's always going to be ways around this, or agencies that just disregard the law in general. I point you to the CIA. The Central Intelligence Agency, in its own rules, says that they are not to be operating inside the United States. But they do. On a regular basis. They've conducted interviews and debriefings with governors, heads of state. They've gotten involved in business that, quite frankly, is shady, to say the least, inside our own borders. And agencies like the NSA or the FBI are no better. There are varying levels of corruption, but the deeper organizations are like the CIA, the NSA. These are big organizations on the inside. The FBI is what I would call a shell organization for these people. They basically deflect the light buckshot of public distrust and angst even anger. And it's usually focused at them, but not at these other agencies for some reason. And I don't understand it. Maybe it's just that common Americans don't understand that these agencies are the ones taking away your rights. They're spying on you. Now, they say that they're not listening to every phone call, but I severely doubt it. In this day and age, they have computers that can transcript an entire phone call before you're off of it. They seem to have more and more buildings dedicated to gathering information on us. For those of you who've never been to New York, I want to read you something here. 33 Thomas Street, also known as the AT&T Long Lines Building. That's what I knew it as. It actually becomes more than that. This building is a 550-foot tall, windowless skyscraper in the Tribeca neighborhood of Lower Manhattan in New York City. Now, it stands on the east side of Church Street between Thomas Street and Worth Street. The odd thing about this building, other than the fact that it has absolutely no windows and it's just this large concrete building with all kinds of antenna arrays and things on the roof, it just looks out of place. Even if you knew nothing about it. When it starts to get dark in New York, you can imagine the light source from all these buildings coming on. But then you have this 550-foot monstrosity with zero lights on the outside, zero windows penetrating it. I mean, it's kind of creepy in and of itself. And for good reason. Because long before the recent accusations of this, which were in, I believe, like 2011. And I know that's not exactly recent, but in the timeline of this building, it is. This building is now known to house the NSA. The AT&T building, the owners from that building moved to a different address, and the NSA took this building over. But before the NSA took it over, there were many people like myself who said that this was being used as an operation point for the CIA and the NSA to gather information on Americans. And people ask, well, so what? I don't care if they gather my information. You guys, this leads somewhere. They're not just gathering facts on Timmy, the 12-year-old, for no reason, and Johnny, his daddy, for no reason. And they're not just targeting criminals. They're gathering information on us all. Now, the next creepy part about this is things that are called fusion centers. If you've never heard of a fusion center, these places are so scary to me that, honestly, I can't believe we live in a society that allows this. These are independently run, large complex buildings that specifically gather data on civilians. Now, I want to bring something up real quick right here. It says, fusion centers are state and locally run intelligence hubs that act as a point of information sharing between federal, state, and local law enforcement, first responders, and public safety agencies to detect, prevent, and respond to criminal and terrorist activity. They collect, analyze, and disseminate intelligence across multiple agencies to provide a comprehensive picture of threats, though some critics have raised concerns about civil liberties and oversight. Well, there is no real complaint. It's just a fact. Your civil liberties are being infringed upon. And as far as oversight, there is none. These places oversee and discipline themselves. You know, much like police departments in our country do for some stupid reason. Yes, internal affairs might investigate, but police departments often run their own internal investigation and find no wrongdoing, shockingly. This is the same thing. These people are being told to basically police themselves. And let me tell you this right now. They say that they're looking to gather intelligence on criminal and terrorist activity, okay? But there are multiple, dozens and dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of cases of people being put on lists, watch lists, because of fusion centers, adding their name to these lists simply because of who they vote for, some kind of a protest they attended or rally that they started or participated in, even campaigning for an official presidential candidate has gotten people on these fusion center lists being targeted. Now, I don't know about you, but I live in a free America. I live in America where we still are supposed to have rights. And this is why I exercise my rights at every given opportunity, you guys, because exercising your rights is like exercising your body. If you don't exercise muscles in your body, they go away. If you don't exercise your rights, they disappear. We've learned this throughout history, time and time again. And like I said, would it bug me if I knew the government was watching me? Yeah, it probably would. But would I be worried because I have something to hide? No. What bothers me is not that people have a right to privacy only. It's that our government is spying on you and collecting this data for a reason. They are not just collecting this for some, oh, well, just in case we ever need to look up something on you. No, it's more sinister than this, you guys. We are quickly moving towards a future resembling the movie Minority Report. The thought police being arrested for things before you do them because you've spoken about them out in anger, or you've said something online that could have been construed as an illegal something you intended to do, but haven't done yet. How far are we willing to give up our rights? How many rights are we going to let go of before, as a people, we stand up and start telling the government no? And people go, well, the government doesn't listen. Well, then you need to make them listen. Revolutions have started for less. The American people have the spirit to fight tyrannical government. We will do it. We've done it before. We will do it again. Our government, in some ways, is worse than ever. And in some ways, there are a few who are trying to make their mark to clean up messes from the inside. But the filth is so deep that I don't think these handful of individuals can scrub it clean. You look at fusion centers and these data collection hubs and NSA buildings and CIA buildings that are listening to your phone calls, looking at your emails and your cell phone data and your location data and even your Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. None of it's safe. They look at all of this, you guys. I'm pretty sure I'm on a list just because of the things I talk about and the things I believe. But do we really want to live in a world where the government can just basically intrude on your life at any given point for any given reason that they want to? That's not the America I want to live in. Now, it's no big shock to people in our circle, you guys, that these organizations spy on us. But I've talked to, and I talk to all the time, regular people, and I try to convey this message to them. And you would be surprised at how many of these people have no clue how much surveillance they're really under and how easy it is to end up on one of these no-fly lists, one of these people of interest lists. Um, People have been put on, terrorist watch lists as a person of interest simply for attending rallies. And I'm not talking about rallies for Hamas or some terrorist group. I'm talking about political rallies. So now they're targeting you for who you vote for. Like I said, this is insane. This is America. We don't target people based on who they vote for, that we need to mark them for surveillance. I mean, I don't care who it is. If you were elected into office and you were voted for by the people, they don't have a right to just spy on the people because that person's running and someone supported them. Now, no, you don't have to like every candidate. But when did we stop being a country that fought for our rights, that protected our rights? We have turned into a police state where we have slowly let these people strip away our basic rights in this country to a almost laughable level of what they were intended to be. Freedom of speech wasn't made to protect speech that you all like. It was specifically made to protect the speech you didn't like. Speech and action are two different things, and I think in our society we tend to forget this now. We've raised generations of soft people who believe that words hurt. I want freedom back. And, a little side topic. We all know that I believe that a major shift is coming, whether it's a reset or an extinction level event. Something's coming. There's too many targets on the battlefield right now that can cause worldwide chaos. And it seems like we're just in a shooting gallery of bad timing. All these things are coming together at once. I don't know if they're all going to happen at the same time, be it AI or, interstellar collisions or any number of things that are going on. But there's definitely one thing going on that I can express, which is no matter all the craziness that we're experiencing in the world, you guys, and I don't even care what country you're in, okay? Your rights are your rights. And basic human rights are also basic human rights. And the day that we lay down our rights is the day that we don't deserve them anymore. There's a quote, and I'm going to probably butcher it, and I don't even remember who said it, to be honest. But it says, those who sacrifice liberty for security, or liberty and freedom for security, deserve neither. Something to that effect. And I wholeheartedly believe this. We have sacrificed for the feeling of safety. I feel safe. The government's watching out for me now. There's cameras everywhere in case something happens. For your rights. They've made it to where people can be now arrested. Your home can be searched in certain cases now without even getting a warrant. You can be denied due process. The Patriot Act did a lot of things to this country, you guys, and the surveillance state that has become a direct result of this. We've always had a surveillance state, you guys, but it was never this bad. Since the passing of the Patriot Act, our surveillance state has gone insane. Drones, satellites, infrared, wiretapping. I mean, You name it, they're doing it to the American people. And I got to tell you, I'm not okay with it. And there is going to come a time, if the world doesn't end or civilization doesn't collapse soon, there's going to come a time where we're pushed to a point where it's either fight to defend our freedoms and our rights that were given to us by the forefathers of this land, or are we going to sit by like a bunch of lazy couch potato TV watching, reality show obsessed sheep as the government strips down your rights bare? I'm really hoping it's not the second one. But from what I've seen in our recent past, you guys better buckle up. We're going to be losing a lot of our rights soon. Now, getting back on the topic of surveillance, you guys, there have been noticeable people of good standing, I'll say, with the government and with their communities, who have come out and said that, everyday household items are watching you, collecting data from you, listening to your conversations. Everything from the Xbox, PlayStation, Viso TVs, smart TVs, all these things in your house with cameras. I know people who have freaking vacuum cleaners that have a camera and a microphone attached to them. Why you want to give your vacuum cleaner a camera and a microphone, I don't know. But they have them. Now, a lot of people are willing to give up this privacy in their own homes for these robots. I am not one of them. As soon as I own a TV that has a camera, I'm taping over it. I don't even like owning them, to be honest. I'll purposely buy older TVs or TVs without that stuff because I don't really trust it in my household. But everyone has things with a camera, as, for instance, my laptop. But you bet your bottom dollar that when I'm not here, it's closed. They might be able to listen to my conversation still, but that camera is not pointing at me when I'm not using it. I did the same thing back with webcams when they first became popular. When webcams first became a thing, everyone was so excited. And I'm like, the wrong people could you literally use this to violate people in the most ridiculous ways. Home invasion robberies, murders, rapes. And guess what happened? Bad people used cameras on people's computers for nefarious reasons. Our government is no different. They're not collecting this information on you just so they went, okay, well, now we know everything about them. Let's move on to the next person. There's only one reason that they try to mass collect information of people. Well, there could be multiple reasons, I guess, but there's only one good reason. Is you're compiling that to use in the future for either tracking purposes, blackmail in some people's cases, I'm sure, or other forms of covert surveillance. Like I said, just food for thought, you guys. Really look the next time you're out and about in the town you live in. Look at your neighbor's front door as you step outside and see if you're on a Ring camera. Start noticing the amount of times that you're on camera, because it really truly is everywhere. Now, briefly, I want to touch on a topic also of new cities around the U.S. are starting to put up camera systems for their police departments. They make it sound like they're for crime purposes, and I'm sure they're used for that partially. But the problem with these flock cameras is a lot of people believe that they are also used by the NSA and the CIA to spy on the American people. We now know that we live in a time where our FBI, our CIA, our NSA, our presidents, I mean, regardless of which side you're on, Democrats and Republicans have been lying through their teeth since the start. That's not shocking, but now the corruption's gotten to a whole new level, you guys. And there are always a handful on each side of people trying to do the right thing and trying to pull back the beast that is, the dark agencies, we'll call them, who are spying on the American people and taking away our rights. But it's not enough to have a handful of people here or a handful of people there. When their own public, the American people, won't stand up and fight this tyrannical behavior. But it will happen. If things don't hit the fan first, which I think they might, honestly, but if they don't, and we don't see any world-shifting paradigm soon, things are going to get very interesting in America very fast. Because, like I said, I do believe that things have changed over the decades, and we have a few generations that are a lot more blasé about their rights. But if there's one thing a lot of people have learned over the years, it's that when you piss us off, America's a sleeping giant. And its people control that giant. Public opinion is a powerful thing. Public revolution is an even more powerful thing. And it doesn't always take a revolution. Sometimes the threat of a revolution is enough. So my question is, when do you think the people of America will say they've had enough? Or will they just roll over? Have we become complacent? And like I said, this is, I know I've been talking about America, but this is not just an America problem, you guys. This is worldwide. This is everywhere. This is China, Austria, Australia, Great Britain, the freaking Russia, the USSR, Russia. This is everywhere. In Asia, the Middle East. There's freaking surveillance in the Middle East growing. These are places that don't have a lot of everyday amenities in some cases, and they still have more cameras than a lot of other devices. Cameras are everywhere now, you guys. Like I said, we can't lock that box back up. We cannot close the lid. We cannot take that back. Every person in America's, for the most part, walking around with a camera in their pocket, a laptop, a cell phone. I mean, good Lord, MP3 players now have cameras in them. You can't escape being on film, but you can escape the government's overreach if you do it properly and with support of the people. So time will tell if we'll fight or if we'll let freedom die. But people around the world have been rising up lately, which has kind of surprised me, for rights. People in other countries are getting sick of the way governments are treating them. Look at Mexico right now. Mexico's citizens are in a complete revolt against the corrupt government. And it's mostly the younger generation. They've had enough. But time will tell. Until then, just know you're living in a police state. You guys look out for each other, care for each other, and love each other. Till next time, this has been Adam saying good night and see you next time on Straight Jacket, White Rabbit.